While the country is facing a health emergency with the second wave of the coronavirus pandemic, vaccines are a critical tool in the battle against COVID-19. And getting vaccinated is one of the only and best ways to protect yourself and others from the virus. Hello and welcome to the special show, Living Long and Healthy with COVID Vaccination, where we have experts who will try to address the concerns in people's minds with regards to COVID-19 vaccination. Today we have Dr. Guna Sriharsha. He's a consultant endocrinologist at Hormone India, Visakhapatnam. Dr. Priyamvada Tyagi, consultant endocrinologist, Hormone India, Noida. And Dr. Mayur Agrawal, consultant endocrinologist at Hormone India, Bhopal. Thank you so much, doctors, for joining us today. Dr. Sriharsha, coming to you first, there are two different types of vaccines available in India. How are they different from each other, when we really talk about the way, their mode of action?
We have two vaccines that are being widely used in India. One is the Covaxin that is produced by Bharat Biotech, and it contains inactivated virus. So inactivated virus, it cannot infect a person. When this is given in the form of a vaccine, it cannot infect a person, but it can still elicit the immune response, which is capable of producing antibodies and fight against the virus in case the person gets infected with the live coronavirus in the coming weeks. And the other vaccine is Covishield, that is produced by Serum Institute of India in collaboration with AstraZeneca. And this is an attenuated live vaccine in the sense that the COVID virus is being incorporated into the harmless adenovirus vector. And this is being used as a vector vaccine. And both of them have similar efficacy in inducing the antibody response in the body, and they have to be given in 2 doses with 4 weeks apart.
Okay, so Dr. Priyamvada Tyagi, Dr. Sriharsha just told us about the efficacy. What do you feel? Do both the vaccines that are available in India presently, do they have similar efficacy, and also are they both equally safe?
Phase 3 trial results of the Bharat Biotech vaccine have recently been published. And the Covaxin, that is, they claim to have an efficacy of about 81% in protection against COVID infection. Now, this study was done in close to 25,000 people. The Covishield vaccine has an advantage, is that because it is available globally, so we have a large number of population database available. They claim the efficacy to be around 78%. So as far as we are concerned about the efficacy, there is no significant difference between the two vaccines. We can go for either of them. Now coming to the side effects. Side effects of both vaccines are not very different. Both of the vaccines can cause some injection site pain, some swelling, fever. They can cause stomach ache, joint pain, muscle pains. Most of these symptoms will start within 2 to 3 days after your vaccine, and they usually become normal in 5 to 7 days. Another point I want to highlight is that in Europe, the Covishield or the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine has been related to blood clots. Now, the European medical agencies have found out that the incidence of this is very, very low. That means out of approximately 5 million people who have been vaccinated, only 30 have got this. Until now, no reports from India have been available regarding this incidence.
Okay, thank you. So, Dr. Agrawal, we've understood about both the vaccines that are available in India. The government has allowed the import of vaccines. Can you explain us briefly regarding the other vaccines? There's Pfizer, there's Moderna, there's Sputnik. Can you tell us about that, please?
So this Pfizer and Moderna, both are mRNA-based vaccines. This mRNA does not integrate into the DNA of the recipient, neither it enters into the nucleus. What is there, it stays in the cytoplasm and produces some harmless proteins against which the immunity develops. Both these vaccines are mRNA-based vaccines and they are stored at very low temperature. This Pfizer one is stored at around -60 to -80 degrees, whereas the Moderna, this is stored at -15 to -20 degrees centigrade. Both are given intramuscularly, 2 doses to be given. The Pfizer one is given around 3 weeks apart, whereas the Moderna is given 4 weeks apart. Both have similar efficacy, around 94 to 95%. Here I want to stress that this Pfizer vaccine, as it is given at closer duration, only at 3 weeks, so the patient will be immunized at the 4 weeks. He'll develop the immunity against the virus. Coming to the Sputnik V, which is recently approved and is being imported in India, this is developed in Russia and is in an adenovirus-based vaccine similar to something we have Covishield. But the difference is that this vaccine, the two doses which are given 4 weeks apart, they uses two different strains of adenovirus vectors. Whereas in the Covishield, in both the doses, same virus vector is used. And the efficacy of this Sputnik V is slightly higher than the Covishield to the tune of 91%. And all these vaccines, including Covishield and all the three which I mentioned, all have similar side effects, which are like patient may have headache, fever, myalgia, may have some local pain, tenderness. This usually resolves in 40 to 72 hours, and patient may take paracetamol if required.
Okay, so that's really well explained. Dr. Sriharsha, I just wanted to ask you, Dr. Tyagi had just told us about, there could be side effects when it comes to the Indian vaccines or any vaccine, let me put it that way. How does one deal with the side effects? Is it okay to have a paracetamol? Many a times they say that, where you've got the vaccine shot, you can put a cold compress. So any tips on that?
Yes, a very good question. There is a misconception among the general public that vaccination induces very high-grade fever, but we have seen ample evidence that many people do not even develop those side effects. Only very few people develop the side effects of fever, the body pains and joint pains. And all that they need is a good reassurance that these side effects are going to subside in 1 or 2 days. We can use cold compressors over the site of vaccination, and the people can be prescribed paracetamol to relieve their body pains and joint pains.
So, Dr. Priyamata, there's a lot of confusion, about vaccination being safe for pregnant women or women, who have gestational diabetes. Can you tell us about that? How safe is it for them?
Okay, this question becomes very important because Government of India has now allowed vaccination for people above 18 years of age. Now, pregnancy has already been reported to be a high-risk category. That means pregnant females who have COVID have more risk of hospitalization, ICU admission, and adverse outcomes. Now, gestational diabetes in itself is a high-risk pregnancy category. But till now, both the vaccines which are available in India, Covishield and Covaxin, no studies have been done on pregnant women, and Government of India does not approve of their use in pregnancy. However, a good news is that both the mRNA-based vaccines, the Moderna and the Pfizer-BioNTech N vaccine, which are available in US and Europe, they have been approved for usage in pregnancy. Now, as Dr. Mayur already explained, the advantage is that because they are mRNA vaccines, they have no risk of causing COVID infection once you get vaccinated. So no risk to your baby. And because they do not interfere with the genetic material, so again, no risk to the baby. However, if a pregnant woman has got 1 dose of a vaccine and later on she finds out that she is pregnant, that some case reports are already there, it is advisable to just delay the second dose to after 3 months of pregnancy, and no adverse effects in such mothers and babies have been found. But till those 2 vaccines are available in India, I would not recommend everybody to get those. However, in special circumstances, like if a woman has a heart disease or diabetes or is a healthcare worker, then in those cases, it is important to have a one-on-one discussion with your doctor and to see whether the benefits of giving vaccine outweigh the risks.
So, Dr. Agarwal, like Dr. Priyamata just told us, and we all know that vaccination is now open for all, over the age of 18 in our country. Tell us, is it safe for people with type 1 diabetes or those, who are insulin dependent? Is it safe for them?
Get the vaccine. Regarding the type 1 diabetes patients and patients who are on insulin, they can safely take the vaccination. They should continue the medication and whatever the dose is prescribed to them by their endocrinologist or diabetologist. And as already known, these patients with diabetes, both the type 1 and type 2, are at higher risk of poor prognosis with COVID-19. So it becomes more important to get them vaccinated.
Thank you, Dr. Agarwal, for explaining that to us really well. On that note, we'll slip into a short break. We'll be right back, so stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching Living Long and Healthy with COVID vaccination. Today we have a team of experts, doctors, who are helping us with certain queries which we have regarding COVID-19. Dr. Priyamata, let me come to you here. Children we've seen are getting COVID-19 in the second wave. Is there a specific risk factor for certain children? Are all children at equal risk? Also, are their symptoms a little different from adults?
Okay, so this question becomes very important in the context that the number of children who are being affected in the second wave of COVID, which has gripped our country, is very high as compared to the first wave, which was last year. But a good thing is that up to 40 to 50% of the children who are still being affected have mild symptoms or no symptoms at all. Now, this becomes very important in the setting that symptoms which children have are different as compared to adults. Most of the children will present with some symptoms like fever, cough, some loose motions, stomach pain and vomiting. Whereas adults are most likely to present with fever, cough, along with runny nose and sore throat. So these two, like runny nose and sore throat, are less frequently seen in children. So the only thing what we can do right now, because vaccines are not available for children below 18 years of age in India, is to protect the children by following preventive measures. Now this is very important because children less than 2 years of age, children who have specific diseases like diabetes, asthma, who have heart disease right from birth, and are overweight and obese are more likely to have severe complications. Now, a very infrequent finding, which has been reported from countries in Europe and USA, is the multi-system inflammatory disease. It's a very rare condition. It's a very rare complication of COVID disease, which is being seen in which children are very sick. They require ICU admissions and have higher risk of death. This is not being very frequently reported from India till now, but we cannot be very sure about the data which is being reported because we have just now only started to see pediatric cases being involved. So my advice is that keep your children safe, follow simple basic precautions, wear mask, frequently wash your hands, and try not to send your children outside for playing.
Dr. Sriharsha, any tips on management of diabetes, heart disease, how people can manage this by lifestyle changes?
Yeah, very good question, Ambika. And we have seen that this COVID second wave is progressing at a rampant pace in India, and India is supposed to be one of the world's capital for diabetic population, with the diabetic population even projected to increase in the next coming 10 to 15 years. And we have ample evidence to show that people suffering from diabetes are at an increased risk for contracting COVID, and not only COVID, they are more likely to develop severe COVID and also have a higher mortality rates when compared to the non-diabetic population. So it is very important for the patient with diabetes to take good care so that they do not get a severe COVID infection. And one of the 4 pillars for diabetes care is diet, exercise, and regular medications, and regular checkups and follow-up with the doctor. And patients with heart disease also need to take extra care, like wearing masks and using hand sanitizers, and also being in touch with their primary care physicians or cardiologists or endocrinologists at regular intervals to be sure that their sugar levels are very much in control.
Dr. Agrawal, are there any side effects experienced by people after the second dose similar to the side effects after administration of the first dose? Since most of the people have, or many people have got the first dose, what are the symptoms after the second dose of the vaccination? Are they more mild or severe?
So as such, there is no data or anything, like some people may experience same side effects, some people may not experience some side effects. So usually there are very mild side effects as already mentioned, and as already mentioned, all these patients, all these people who are at high risk should take vaccination. It is very important at the present time.
Dr. Priyamada, I want to ask you something here. There's a lot of confusion when it comes to medication. Many times people are panicking, especially now they're home quarantining. What medication to take when? Because sometimes people don't know, should they start an antibiotic or should they start FabiFlu? Can you just help us a little bit with that so that there's a little more clarity on when to start what medication? Dr. Priyamada, please.
Okay. So when you come to treatment, it is very important to know that Government of India guidelines say that all patients who are infected with COVID need to be categorized as a mild, moderate or severe disease. Okay, this is usually to be done by the doctor who sees you at the COVID facility where you have got diagnosed. So patients who have mild disease, who do not have any risk factors, do not really require anything. They just require to monitor their temperature at home. If they have an facility of getting an oximeter at home, they can monitor it very well. If you have fever, temperature is about 99 degrees Fahrenheit, you take paracetamol, nothing else to be done. Your disease will probably be okay in about 7 to 10 days. Now, patients who have a little bit serious disease or who have high risk factors, like who are who have diabetes, who have heart disease, who have hypertension, asthma, or patients who have been on steroids for a longer period of time, or patients who are under treatment for cancers. Now, these are the patients who are more likely to deteriorate, more likely to have hospital admissions. Now, again and again, everybody is re-emphasizing two things. First of all, there is no definitive medicine which is available which can be shown to cure COVID disease. All the medicines which are available, the steroids, the remdesivir, Fabiflu, ivermectin, whatever medicines are available, hydroxychloroquine, they are all to be used under expert care in a hospital setting. I would not advise you to start medication on your own at home. Of course, if you have a high-risk disease and you want to stay at home, you're fit for home quarantine, then doctors do advise you to start taking some medications according to Government of India guidelines. But again, I would recommend and I would request everybody to please consult your doctors.
Sure, I think it's a very important point made. We do need to consult a doctor before any medication. Dr. Shreya Shah, the other thing is, which I want to know is about the CT score. There's a lot of, again, confusion. You just see the report and one tends to panic. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
People with COVID who have moderate to severe symptoms should undergo a CT scan, and the timing of the CT scan is very important. As it is not to be done on the day 1, should be done at least in between day 7 or day 10. And that is based on a complex scoring system when each finding is given a particular point. And the maximum score that we can give is around 25, and we can give the disease categorized as mild, moderate, and severe. It is very important for such patients to undergo a CT scan and categorize the severity as mild, moderate, and severe, because this would decide the further treatment as how much dose of glucocorticoids does the patient need, or does the patient need ICU admission, or does the patient need admission in the general wards. So in the light of the fact that we have limited healthcare facilities, this risk categorization of the patients is very important, as we can prioritize certain facilities to patients who are very sick and those who are having severe disease.
Okay, so I think you'll have cleared many doubts. Dr. Agarwal, something which maybe I should have asked you all earlier is, what are the differences between the first wave and the second wave? It's a very basic question, but again, we're just talking about the symptoms. Can you tell us that a little briefly, please?
Yeah. So as like the first wave, in the second wave also, the older population is more vulnerable. It is seen that only slightly there is higher increase in the younger population, but overall it is still the high risk category and the older population which is more infected. It is not like that the death rate has increased. The total number of deaths are higher than the first wave because the total number is increasing. The denominator is increasing. That is why the numerator is increasing. But if we see by percentage wise, it is almost same as the first wave, like 1 to 2%. It is same as the first wave. Coming to hospitalization, during hospitalization, now we are admitting even the patients which are slightly asymptomatic, higher risk, which may turn out bad in the future. So we are admitting them, and it is seen that as per the ICMR data just released now, so oxygen requirement in the first wave was around 41%, while in this the second wave is around 54%. But the mortality has not increased. So I request everyone not to panic. Please get your vaccination. Maintain COVID appropriate behavior.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shreya Shah, Dr. Tyagi and Dr. Agarwal for joining us today and sharing this critical information. We do know that vaccines train our immune system to recognize a targeted virus and create antibodies to fight off the disease. In fact, after vaccination, the body is ready to fight the virus if it is later exposed to it, thereby preventing illness. Vaccine and COVID-appropriate behavior are two things that will help us break the chain. So please get yourself vaccinated and stay safe.